Well, welcome everyone. Welcome to Office Hours with Michael Kitces. So for today's episode, I want to talk about a really interesting question that I heard yesterday at the eMoney Advisor Summit. So the keynote before mine was a really cool Ask Me Anything session with the great Ron Carson. So for those who aren't familiar, Ron was LPL's top producer for over 20 years, created the Peak Advisor Coaching Group, now runs a very large hybrid RIA and also an institutional platform for other advisors. And in the session, Ron asked a really fascinating question. Noting that so many advisors don't like to ask for referrals, he posed this question in return. Are advisors afraid to ask for referrals because they're not proud of their own services? And I have to admit, this struck home with me a little. So as most of you know, I started my career in financial services working in a life insurance company. Straight out of college into a life insurance agency. It was the year 2000, so the hot product at the time was variable universal life insurance. Buy life insurance, invest the cash value in the stock market. Now, back then, the only way you could get started was you had to go out and prospect. You could do cold calling, or you could walk the streets and cold knock on the doors of small businesses. There were some long-term career life insurance agents in that office who built their whole careers knocking on the doors of people's homes, like literally selling insurance door to door, cold knocking back in the 1960s and 1970s. But ideally, the goal for most advisors is to get away from that as quickly as possible by getting some clients and then asking those clients for referrals to new clients and prospecting your way forward from there. It's basically the asking for referrals was the path away from cold calling and cold knocking. And frankly, compared to cold calling and cold knocking, proactively asking for referrals seems like a pretty good deal. But here was the thing. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I couldn't bring myself to ask clients and prospects I was talking to if they knew anyone else who might benefit from our company's products and services. It was what I was trained to say, and I couldn't do it. And deep down, I think the reason why is exactly what Ron said. I wasn't proud of the company and the products that I represented, because at the time, at least, it really felt like the company was solely focused on one product, a variable universal life, at least in our branch, where it was all the managing partner wanted us to talk about with every prospect we met. And even as a novice agent at the time, I knew deep down that not everybody on the planet needed a VUL policy. And what's worse, I knew we didn't even have the best VUL policy on the market because we got trained in how to overcome objections, including the objection of outselling competing products that illustrated better than ours. So I was in a position where the company was pushing me to sell a knowingly inferior product to a wide range of people who often didn't even need the product. And lo and behold, I didn't want to ask for referrals. I couldn't do it. And to be honest, I guess as Ron's question suggests, it wasn't that I was afraid per se. It was frankly that I was kind of ashamed of what I was selling and what I was doing. And ultimately, there's only one good way you ever really deal with that. You have to leave. And that's what I ended up doing. It basically becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. I wasn't proud of my company's tactics and the product I represented, so I didn't ask for referrals, and I didn't get much business, which meant I couldn't qualify my contract, which means the discomfort with the company and its products eventually meant that I no longer had a job selling that company's products. Funny how these things work out. But I think it's a good reminder for all of us that you can't stay at a company where you aren't proud of what they do and their solutions that they provide. As Ron had put it, if you wouldn't knowingly and willingly and happily recommend your mother and your grandmother to the company that you're working for, you need to find a different company. You need to go somewhere else, because otherwise it will become a self-fulfilling prophecy. You won't be comfortable asking people to do business. You won't be comfortable asking for referrals, which means you will self-sabotage your own success, and it's not going to work out anyways. So save yourself some time and an extended but inevitable demise. If you aren't able to ask for referrals because deep down you're ashamed of the company or the products you represent, find a new company to represent and get over this hurdle. Now, that being said, the truth is that even if you want to ultimately become a financial advisor, where your primary job is actually not selling the company's products, but selling your own advice and knowledge and wisdom, then what you really need to become proud of so that you can represent confidently is yourself and your knowledge. And here too, I'll admit that this was actually a huge struggle for me in the early years. Even if after I left the insurance company, I switched to working in a much more financial planning oriented independent broker dealer, but I still had the struggle. I didn't really know anything about financial planning. I was about 23 years old with a bachelor's degree in psychology. And I knew I didn't know much of anything about financial planning. And it's hard to confidently ask people to work with you and pay you for your advice when you know you don't actually bring much value to the table and give very good advice. And so for me, that was the primary motivator, actually, to go out and get my CFP marks and ultimately continue on with a lot of additional post-CFP designations from there. Because I couldn't confidently convey my value and ask for their business until I knew, for me personally, that I had the knowledge and value to convey in the first place. And so for me, it was only after completing some of those designations that I felt confident enough that I knew my stuff and felt I really brought value to the table that I finally started to get comfortable asking prospects for their business, asking for referrals and introductions, and actually started doing business development a good 8 to 10 years into my career. Because it's a lot easier to ask for referrals when you're truly confident you actually add value and help people. I mean, why would you not ask for referrals at that point? You have the knowledge, it helps people. Why do you not want to help more people by telling them what you do? In fact, I find that's one of the key differences between advisors, not product salespeople, but actual advisors who are good at business development and asking for referrals versus those that aren't. The ones who are good at it mostly just comes from their confidence in their own value. They feel it's only natural to share their expertise with more people to help more people. Why wouldn't you if you have the expertise? Now, really, there actually is one reason why you probably wouldn't even if you have the expertise. It's because even if you have the expertise to add value as a financial advisor, it's still hard to actually tell people you're a financial advisor because so many consumers have had bad experience with advisors. I'm sure all of you are advisors who are listening to this have experienced this, right? You're at a social event and someone asks you what you do and you say, I'm a financial advisor. And they say, oh yeah, I have a financial advisor. He helped us with our life insurance a few years ago. Because they think comprehensive financial planning is getting a life insurance policy. Or you say, I'm a financial advisor, and they take a step back and start like looking for someone else across the room to talk to. Oh, hey, Johnny. Because they've clearly had some bad experience with a financial advisor salesperson in the past, and now they're assuming that when you say financial advisor, you're just there to sell them something, and they didn't feel like buying anything today. And it makes it really hard to ask for people's business, ask for referrals as a financial advisor when so many people have been stung by a bad financial advisor in the past, because it feels like you're not telling people about this great service you deliver. You're confessing you're a financial advisor and hoping it doesn't make you a social pariah. This is the challenge of doing business in a low trust industry with low barriers to entry. The Edelman Trust Barometer, which is kind of the leading global survey that measures consumer trust, finds the financial services industry as the least trusted industry there is. We are dead last. Fewer than 50% of all consumers actually trust financial services companies, which means it's literally an odds-on bet that when you say, I'm a financial advisor and ask for referrals, that the person's immediate and first response of you will be negative because fewer than 50% of consumers trust financial services in the first place. And like it or not, as financial advisors, even as we try to become our own profession, we're still representatives of the financial services industry. And I think that makes it harder for all of us to ask for referrals. When you know the odds are that bad, it's hard to want to be productive. It's easy to be afraid that the reaction when you're going to ask for referrals will be negative, so you just don't want to do it at all. And frankly, I think this is one of the main reasons as financial advisors in the past couple of years, we've been evolving our titles and labels. Financial advisor is associated with the financial services industry, but wealth manager feels more aspirational, as though we're trying to separate ourselves out. Because I'll admit it, at least I'm often ashamed of the industry I represent, even as someone that's trying to help improve it, because I also know the bad stuff that happens in our industry. Now, of course, even when you do manage to ask for a referral, there's still the awkward reality that often when you ask someone for referrals, the person responds, can't think of anyone offhand. Ugh. Now it feels even worse to ask for referrals. Because, what are you supposed to do at this point? Drill deeper? Are you really sure you don't know anyone who might want to work with me? Because that doesn't sound desperate. Indirectly, I think this is one of the many reasons why having some kind of niche or specialization is so important. Think of it in the context of another profession. So you're an orthopedic surgeon. Now, most doctors get their business by referrals. They get business from patients who refer them. They get business from other doctors who refer them. But you don't see a lot of orthopedic surgeons going to networking meetings say, do you know anyone who's blown out their knee lately? Because they don't have to. They're an orthopedic surgeon. If you have knee problems, you already know you need an orthopedic surgeon. If I have a friend who has a knee injury and I refer him to a orthopedic surgeon I saw a couple of years ago who worked on my knee because I'm trying to be helpful. In other words, when you have a niche or a specialization, you don't have to go out and ask for referrals. You establish your expertise and become known for what you do, and people refer the business to you. I mean, think about it from the other end. If you had a friend who was having knee problems and you knew a great orthopedic surgeon, why wouldn't you make the referral to help your friend? I mean, it doesn't matter whether the surgeon asks for referrals or gives me a pen and paper to write down the names of 3 knee injury people I know. Frankly, it wouldn't even help because if none of my friends have just had a knee injury, I wouldn't know anyone to refer. I'm not going to make that referral until I actually connect with a friend who just had a knee injury, and then I'm going to make the referral. Which means what really matters isn't that the surgeon asks me referrals at all. It's that I know his specialization is orthopedic surgery and then he fixes knee injuries. And then he just has to wait. Because the next time I meet someone with a knee injury, my brain is probably instantly going to make the connection because that's what our brains do all by themselves. Oh, you tore your ACL? I know a surgeon who does great work on ACL injuries. I got to introduce you. But the bottom of your line here is just to recognize that I think there are a lot of barriers that make it hard for us to ask for referrals as financial advisors. I think Ron Carson was right here. It's our fears that hold us back. But they're well-founded fears a lot of the time. It really is uncomfortable asking for referrals when you're not proud of the company and the products you represent, or you're not really confident in your own business value, or you're ashamed of the industry that you're in, or your clients never seem to come up with a name when you do ask for referrals. So what's the point? You just stop asking. So if one of these are your blocking point, what do you have to do to grow past it? Do you need to change the company you're representing to one where you're actually proud to ask for referrals because you believe you bring a good solution to the table? Do you need to reinvest in yourself with CFP certification or some other post-CFP designation so you're confident enough in your own value to proudly ask for referrals because you just want to help more people with the expertise you have? Do you need to find a way to market and position yourself so the value is unique enough that you're clearly differentiated from the rest of the bad people in the industry? Or do you need to refine your specialization or niche some way to make you so referable that you don't need to ask for referrals because people naturally think of you when they've got a particular problem or challenge where you have the niche expertise to solve it and they say, oh, I know a person that can help you. So what's holding you back from asking for referrals? This is Office Hours with Michael Kitces. We're normally 1 p.m. East Coast times on Tuesdays, although, again, since I was keynoting at the E-Money Advisor Summit yesterday right after Ron Carson, who posed this great question, here we are today. But thanks for joining us, and have a great day, everyone.